Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time. I actually did not intend to take a month-long break this time because I had some kind of chaotic stuff happen in my real life, and so I kind of stepped away from filming for a little bit, but I am back for real this time, hopefully, because I always seem to say that and then never do it. Anyway, today I thought I would do another No Sight, No Problem, which for those of you who don't know is my series all about life as a blind person. For those of you who don't know, I am completely blind. And I like to make videos about it because I feel like it's just not something that a lot of people talk about. And today I thought it would be fun to cover being a blind dancer, because for those of you who don't know, I do take dance classes at a studio. Haven't been doing it for that long, but I just thought it would be fun to kind of talk about it and answer some questions, because I feel like a lot of people lately have been asking me questions about this. So I thought it would be good to do a video on it today. And I've been wanting to do a video on this for a while, so I thought I would just do it today. So the first thing, or the first question I want to answer is, how did I figure out that I wanted to be a dancer? Well, it's actually kind of interesting because I feel like for a very long time, especially as a kid, I kind of brushed aside the idea. Like, occasionally it would kind of be there in the back of my mind, like, oh, like, it would be so cool if I could be a dancer. But I think I always just brushed it aside because I didn't think it was possible. It is possible. It just takes a lot of extra work. I'll get to that later. Anyway, I just didn't think that I could do it. But then a couple years ago, I got into dancing shows and I just started watching dancing shows. And all of a sudden I realized I kind of want to do that too. And so about 6 months ago, I started taking a jazz class and I realized, hey, this is actually really fun. Like, I want to do this more. And so I started taking ballet classes at a studio a couple months ago, and I don't take the jazz class anymore. I do still take ballet though, but that's kind of how I got into dance, I think, was seeing other people, well, not seeing, but like hearing other people do it, I guess, or hearing other people describe it as being this really beautiful thing, because I've always been into music and I've always been into theater, and I feel like dance kind of goes hand in hand with those, because usually in shows there's, singing, dancing, and acting. And I decided to give it a try, and I ended up really liking it. So that's kind of how I became a dancer. So yeah. The next question that I wrote down that I want to answer is, how do I learn choreography? So I actually kind of struggle with choreography. I think it's probably my weakest point right now, because I haven't been dancing for that long. I'm sure it gets easier over time, but I've only been dancing for like half a year, so I struggle with choreography a little bit. But I feel like with choreography, and when you're teaching choreography to a blind person, it's all about the explanation. Because if you don't explain it in a way that we can understand, then how are we going to get it down? And I'm not saying that it's wrong to not know how to explain it. I totally get it. Like, it's really hard to explain, especially to someone like me who doesn't have any vision. Like, that's a really hard thing to do. But with that said, it can be done. It's just that sometimes you're going to have to explain things in kind of a weird way. Like, one time I did a hip-hop combo, and there was this one jump that kind of made me feel like I was getting on a horse, and so instead of using the actual name, I wrote down horse jump. And it kind of helped me visualize it a little bit more in my mind's eye. And usually when I'm given new choreography, I'll write it down, or new combinations, I'll write them down the way that they were given to me so that I remember what I'm doing, because I'm not the greatest at remembering choreography, especially when the music comes into play, because I feel like sometimes I can kind of get the steps down, but then the music starts and I'm like, what are we doing? So I think it definitely takes me longer to try and learn choreography, but I think I can do it. Like that same hip-hop combo that I was talking about, now that I've got it down, I can do it from memory. It's just that it took me a really long time to get used to doing it that fast. So the next question I wanted to answer was, how did I decide to take ballet? Because originally I was taking jazz, but I actually kind of have an interesting reason for taking ballet. I wanted to take ballet originally because I thought it would be like a very graceful and very kind of beautiful feeling to me, if that makes sense. Because I can't really see beautiful things, but ballet in my mind is like a very beautiful style of dance. And I know it's also very intricate and complicated, but that was part of the reason that I wanted to take it, because I thought if I take ballet, it'll help me work on some of my everyday things like posture and stuff like that. And so, in order to work on these things that I feel like I need to work on, I thought ballet would be good for that because it's very disciplined. It's very straight legs, pointed feet, things like that. And also, it just makes me feel like a very graceful and beautiful person, even though sometimes ballet is not the most comfortable. I will admit that. And I think a lot of dancers could say the same about it being not the most comfortable sometimes. But with that said, it's also a very like beautiful style all at the same time. So that's kind of my reason for taking it. I really like it. It's really fun. And the next question I want to answer is, how do I feel when I dance? Because I know a lot of people when they dance, they kind of use their expressions. I am not the best at expressions in dancing or in acting, but I do feel things when I dance, and sometimes it is kind of like, I feel like it is kind of reflected on my face. I can't really tell, but I'm assuming it is. But when I dance, I feel like I'm floating in water almost, like just very graceful, very free, very beautiful. And it's a really nice feeling because it just makes me feel very relaxed and just like a very graceful person. And also when I dance, I tend to kind of feel the music a little bit, and that kind of helps me get pacing down sometimes because I'm also a musician, so I'm used to, learning the rhythm of songs and stuff, and I like to try and fit that in with my dancing. And sometimes that helps me with the choreography with a little bit. Like, if I know the rhythm of the song, it kind of helps me. But that's kind of the basics of it. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, I can kind of like visualize it in my mind, but then trying to explain it aloud is a little bit harder. So I'm sorry for the vague explanation. So my next question is, have I ever felt discouraged or unsure of myself? Absolutely, all the time. Because there have been times where I felt really great about my dancing and I felt like I've done really well, but then there are certain days where I'm like, why can't I do this? Why is everyone else getting this down and I'm not getting it down? Because as a blind person, it's hard to be a dancer because I can't really actually see the movements. And even if they're explained really well, I'm not always going to get it because sometimes it just takes me longer to process those things and understand those things. So there have definitely been times where I have felt very discouraged or like, I just felt like I'm not supposed to be a dancer, or I just feel like I can't do it. But I think that my problem is that it's just kind of a confidence thing because I feel a little bit weird because, there are a lot of dancers that are younger than me and they're better at it than me. And that kind of, like, that feels weird to me because I'm just used to being the older person and honestly being, like, the person that everyone looks up to. Not to sound self-centered, but that's kind of just my feeling on it. And when they're able to do these things and I can't do it, I feel kind of embarrassed because I'm like, they're getting this down and I'm not, and why am I not getting this down? So I've definitely felt like that before, but at the same time, I just feel like I just need to put in the work because it just takes a lot of extra work, and that's actually what I'm about to go into. Because the next question is, do I think that a blind person could become a professional dancer, and is that something that I want to do? So, the second part of the question, is that something that I want to do? Probably not. I do want to take recreational dance, but I don't think I want to be like a professional dancer because I feel like I started a little bit too late, especially in ballet. Like, people usually start very young when they take ballet, so I feel like I just started a little bit too late to be professional. However, if you are blind or losing your vision, just know that is not out of the question. It's still an option, even though it seems kind of crazy or maybe a little bit impossible. You are capable of doing it. If a sighted person can do it, then so can you. The part that you might struggle with a little bit is putting in that extra work, like I said before, because being a blind person and being a dancer often means working a lot harder and practicing a lot more because you're not always going to get things down right away. Like, I know with my combinations, there are still some that we've been doing for like 2 months and I still don't know them fully, and that's okay because when you start, it's probably going to take you a little more time, especially if you start really late in life or you know, it's just going to be a little bit of a struggle at first, but just know that you don't have to brush it aside. If you want to be a dancer, it's possible. You're just going to have to put in the work, you're going to have to practice, and you're really going to have to advocate for yourself. I always say in my videos, advocation is very important, especially when you're blind, because not everyone is going to know, and you can't expect them to know because some people just don't know how to handle that, and that's perfectly okay. You just have to explain to them. Like, if there's something that you're not understanding, or if there's a movement you need a better explanation for, don't be afraid to ask, because it's going to help you if you ask for help when you need it. So that's kind of all I really wanted to say today, and I'm going to try and make videos every Friday now that I'm back on schedule. I considered changing my upload day, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I want to do that because now I got used to uploading on Fridays. Anyway, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and if you have any questions or any comments about this video or about any of my other ones, don't be shy. Please put them in the comments because I am totally willing to answer any of your questions. I'm not going to be offended, don't worry, because the common question that I get asked by people is, are you going to be offended? I'm not. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thanks for watching, and bye!